You have made it to the end of the year. So I wanted to briefly go over the end of year assessment to help you not only understand why you're taking it, how to take it, where to find it, but also just recapping what we have either learned all year, if you have been with me since this fall semester, or if you have joined us in the spring semester, a little quick recap over CWI as a whole. So just kind of briefly going through, maybe. In the fall semester, we started off, we dove right into 9/11. We looked into what was the impact of 9/11, this major world issue, this issue that happened on American soil, and not only just what happened, but we dove into kind of really looking into the impact it had and really the overall impact it had worldwide. We looked into specifically world issues. We also saw just what is the world issues about hunger, education, water issues, natural resources. What issues are out there in the world and our role that we can play in impacting them. And that was really Unit 1 starting off back in the fall in 2022. We then dove in after that. We looked into Unit 2. We really dove back into our own history. We looked into, what is the democracy? What does America believe? Where did we come from? How did we even get the Bill of Rights? Why was the Declaration of Independence? Why is that a big thing? With the Federalist Papers, what were the impact they had? Overall, looking into the Constitution, the framework that basically we are standing on, how the amendments impacted, why we have three branches of the government, and why checks and balances are so important that uniquely make America America. We focused in on democracy and where's democracy in the world, and then we even looked into a step further in democracy's impact on other countries. So we really looked into just what do we believe before we can start thinking of what other believes and how we interact. We had to understand ourselves first. In Unit 3 in the fall semester, after establishing what we believe, we focused in on the outward government structures. We looked into communism. We looked into the different ideologies of dictatorships. What are the countries outside of America believing? And then we also looked into why is there conflict between democracy and other countries out there? Why do we have such hated understandings? And sometimes it went to simply the root that we are looking into. We looked into the differences and similarities America has on other country structures. In Unit 4, we came back to America and we started looking at, what is civic action and political discourse. We focused in on the civil rights. We looked into the different ways that civic action plays in America and how it even relates to worldwide. How do we deal with change? How do we deal with issues? Now that we understand how America and other countries work, when issues arise, how do we interact with them? And then we ended the fall semester focusing in on the economics of America democracy. Due to our understanding of our foundational beliefs, we became aware of how economics also impact that. How, when we trade, the fact that economics is kind of how we, trade, we interact with other countries. How does that impact principles, and how is our free market economy strong, and how has it been challenged over the times? How is it consistently being molded to fit the times of we're in the grand scheme of the world? And then after, at the fall semester, we came into the spring semester, and we also had 5 units. In these 5 units, after focusing in the fall semester, Unit 5 of kind of America's democracy and economics, we then looked at world economies. So oftentimes you can see our global perspective, we constantly were looking into America, and then we went and took that into the world. And then in Unit 2 of the spring semester, we focused in on the word geography. And we looked into how geography has 5 themes and how geography is really all around us. We focused on, if you recall, about how geography in itself can create conflicts. We looked at the Israel and Palestine. In fact, you did a discussion board over this. How these all things interact within each other. And we really tried to see the two of those. In Unit 2, we also, if you recall, we did the comparing and contrasting countries project, where you were asked to compare similarities and differences of two countries that kind of can look similar, but they were also vastly different. And then in Unit 3, we looked into cultural diversity and global culture. How does our diversity also unite us? How does our diversity impact the way we see other groups? We looked into morality. If you recall the Terry Shrivo case, how these things, we had this moral compass of different things happening. The conflict of diverse culture was Unit 4, and then we ended with Unit 5. Going in depth a little bit more for the spring semester, since some of you might have forgotten a bit so far. And our wants and needs in Unit 1. Different types of economies were also discussed in Unit 1. How they are effect of developing countries, and we focused in on trade organizations. These were kind of your focus point. We had the Child Labor Project in Unit 1 for the spring semester. You were also reminded of the impact that economies have on simple things like Starbucks. The price of coffee, or child labor impacting, the simple cup of coffee that you get from Starbucks. And why is that even something that we need to discuss? In Unit 2, we focused on, like I said, cultural geography. What is geography? How boundaries create these conflicts, sometimes even within themselves. Understanding maps. What is longitude? What is latitude? And how do these things play into? Unit 3 was one of my favorites. We really looked into cultures. How culture is shared, learned, diffused, integrated. How push and pull factors of what's pushing people away and bringing people into countries. How our migration is, we have molded and we have moved and we have united different groups of people. The real contrast of the Western world and the Eastern world, or the Asian world, their ideologies and ways of thinking. And we really dove into the cultural with morality, and what is morality and how it impacts issues within themselves. In Unit 3, in Unit 4, we focused in on the conflict and the diverse cultural, ethnic, racial. We zoned into the civil rights unit, if you recall, really heavily in this unit, as we really saw how America has dealt with this massive conflict. And then we looked into globally the issue of the genocide of World War II, or Hutus and the Tutsis, and like the video Hotel Rwanda, and other issues, the ethnic cleansing in the Baltics. And then we've ended Unit 5, bringing back all of CWI, really zoning in on what is globalization, the contrast of it, how it contrasts traditionalism, why we've discussed this, and how issues and conflict and all of these things come from globalization. The closer we get together, the more issues we have. But we really focused in on, even though globalization has created and has impacted so much conflict, all the growth that has also come out of globalization, the trade, the focusing. And really, as we ended CWI, you were reminded with the reality of perspective. How our perspective, either a small frame of reference or a big frame of reference, greatly impacts our overall thoughts on this. So if you recall, if you need to remember where to go, you will go to our classroom. You will click on content, and at the very bottom of your content, like you've gone for all of your units, you're going to see the EOYA, the end of year assessment, at the very bottom. You're going to click on that, and then more videos are here to help you. But then ultimately, all you do is you fill out this form, and that is your end of year assessment, wrapping up CWI as a whole. And after you get that in, I will grade it as soon as I can and manually input the grades. When this is up, you will be able to see this. And thank you for watching. Bye-bye.